Psalm 24. Psalm 22, Psalm 23, Psalm 24. It has been said by minds much more put together than my own, poets who had deeper insight into the scripture than I'll ever have. It's been noted that these three psalms kind of form a trilogy, where Psalm 22 speaks about the good shepherd who lays down his life for his sheep. Psalm 23 talks about the great shepherd who equips us, like Hebrews 13:24 says. 21 says, the chief shepherd, the great shepherd, he equips us that we might do everything in his will. And there's a leadership aspect. So the good shepherd lays down his life for sheep, John 10:11. It corresponds with Psalm 22. Psalm 23, the great shepherd who equips us with everything to do his will, Hebrews 13:21. And then now, Psalm 24 it's like 1 Peter 5:4 says, the chief shepherd, who when he appears, he will reward with the crown of glory. There's an aspect of humility in Psalm 22. There's an aspect of hidden greatness in Psalm 23. And there's an aspect of unrelenting glory in Psalm 24. And all of these are in a sense shepherd psalms. They're all speaking to and about the shepherd, the shepherd of our souls, the Messiah who would take on as one of his own names, the shepherd, the singular one shepherd. Psalm 24 is that triumphant, glorious, after the fact exalted aspects of Jesus, but yet it doesn't begin in Jesus's life. It begins in David's life. And David, in some ways, walked a broken road that Jesus is going to walk a similar one with. David was anointed king, and yet he was forsaken and despised and chased and hunted. And yet he was always the king. He was a king, 10 years old when he was anointed. He's on the run until he's about 30. He's finally coronated and enthroned, and he's always been the king, but nobody except for the Lord and maybe a few other people along the way would recognize or bend the knee to his royalty. In a sense, that broken road to exaltation for David became very similar to the broken road that Jesus took voluntarily, that he went deep into humiliation before he was ever given an exaltation, although he was and is and always has been the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings. He has not been publicly coronated yet, and that day is coming. He is already the king, and yet the world doesn't bend the knee. But this psalm speaks to that day. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein, for he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the rivers. Who has ascended to the hill of the Lord? And you'll notice that the questions are really the outline of this short psalm. Notice the questions. Who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? And who shall stand in his holy place? Well, here's the answer, verse 4. He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul for what is false and does not swear deceitfully. He will receive blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek the face of the God of Jacob. So who can ascend this hill? Nobody except for the pure of heart. David, in his early years of exile, he in some ways, humanly speaking, could be called the pure of heart. He was being chased without cause. Saul simply hated him because he had lost his own throne, and God in his sovereignty was raising David up. But David didn't do anything to make Saul hate him. And so in that sense, he was hated without a cause. And yet Jesus, later on, he is hated without a cause. Morally, categorically, he has no lie. He does not speak a single deceit, and yet he is despised and rejected of men. So anyway, the parallels exist, but the question marks ring out in Psalm 24. But then there's a pivot, and there's a pivot in Psalm 7. And so it's not what category of person could climb the holy hill. It is now, well, there he is. There he is. But who is he? There he is, but who is he? Let's look and investigate. Verse 7, lift up your heads, O gates, and be lifted up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord, strong and mighty, the Lord, mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O gates. Lift them up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. There is no doubt about it. They did not know his name was Jesus when David wrote that psalm. But he knew about this beautiful procession to the city as the king and has all eyes upon him. Finally, there's something that's heartfelt and perhaps still future in David's life. He knows that day is coming, and we know that day is coming for Jesus too. He already is King of Kings, and yet one day every knee will see him and they will bow.